We're on?
We're starting.
Don't tell me this is AC/DC.
Shoot to thrill, baby.
My brother said that when you passed by my house with AC/DC. He goes, what's wrong with that guy?
What's wrong with Casey?
Hey,
folks.
He loves AC/DC.
Here we are.
Back in Black.
Citizen Watch. No, this is Shoot to Thrill. That is off the Back in Black album.
I know, but you and I are wearing black.
Folks, here we are. Studio C, the first weekend in November.
Can I pick a song?
You'll be able to pick a song. You know, we're gonna let Robert.
Casey's been doing really good with some of these songs, but
well, I've been trying.
No, I like Pitbull. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, I do like Pitbull too.
And there was another one you did. Oh, Alone Again Naturally is
Alone Again.
One,
I have
that
that
one. Just
one.
a tearjerker.
I have that one in the hopper. Hey, folks, here we are, Studio C, KYOS, 1480 AM. You know, here we are again.
What the heck was that?
On this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning, or maybe a Saturday evening. You know, Halloween is unfortunately over, and we made good use of the KYOS Citizen Watch pumpkin. We had it here in studio for a couple of 3 weeks.
Stayed fresh.
It did stay really fresh. I don't know what you used it when you cut it. But.
Well, hilarious. My dad sends me a picture of their pumpkin.
Yeah.
It's got snow on it. I'm like, oh my God. Dad, what are you wearing? Shorts. Why do you not prepare? Folks, he leaves for Las Vegas today. Yesterday was my father's birthday, Halloween. Happy birthday, Dad. Another shout out. I got two guys that are really kind of funny that came to me yesterday at the calamari dinner and said, you know, Tomasetti, we listen to you and Casey on the radio.
Yeah.
You're pretty darn good.
Well,
that's the Scoto brothers, Joey and Augie.
Hey, you know, he's advertising on these very airwaves.
Scoto is?
Joe, for the election. He's
really?
Supporting one of the candidates in the District 3 race. But that voice you hear, that is Robert, the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti. Of course, I'm Casey Steed, and we broadcast from the beautiful, opulent Studio C. I'm behind the Autogram 4000, state-of-the-art equipment here at KYOS. Nothing but the best. Robert's firmly ensconced. Well,
I'm looking for what it says, autogram. I'm like, how'd you pull that out of your rumpus?
It's over here. The autogram's right here on the upper left-hand corner.
All it says is Plano, Texas back here.
Anyway, you know, we did make good use of that Citizen Watch pumpkin. Robert was kind of teasing. It looked like John Pedroso. Anyway, what?
I said John Pedroso looked like him. John sends me a text. I'm going to look like a pumpkin now? I go, no. I said the pumpkin looked like you.
Well, what we did is we made pumpkin pie out of it, folks. And I don't know about you, Robert. I had a piece, but it tastes like linguiça.
I don't know. It did too, didn't it?
It was kind of strange.
Maybe John had some linguiça left over.
Maybe that came out from the El Nido area out there.
Hey, I'm going to tell you, he put on a bash. And it was like, who's who of the Democratic Party?
John did?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, wasn't it out at some fruit barn or where was
it? No. It was out at it's the rec center or whatever they call it, the something center. It looks like the dilapidated church that nobody wants. John goes in there and they barbecue linguiça. They do linguiça and beans. I gave a donation. He likes a certain thing, so I pacified him. I go in there, and I'm the only one that gave him hard liquor. Oh. Everybody else gave him cupcakes and all this stuff. But when you go there, it's like the who's who of the Democratic Party.
Well, you know, the Pedrosos have a lot of fundraisers throughout the year. I know Josh has one out there at the Fruit Barn, I think once a year.
Heidi and Paul Raggio do a great job out there at Fruit Barn. It's wonderful. Just keep your fingers inside the cages because they got about 6 macaws that'll just snap them off.
Well, they got a whole bunch of animals out there. You know, I just want to give a condolences out to Larry Morris Sr., passed away the other day.
Yes, he did.
And
he was a great guy.
Condolences go out to the Morris family and your time of
loss.
Morse. I know you always correct me on that, but again, our thoughts go out. And something I've been meaning a belated anniversary. Congratulations is Nana and John Payson.
60 years.
60 years in the saddle.
Had it at the Italo.
All in a row, as I like to say. 60 years in a row.
And it was fun. And John was having a blast, and Nada had a great time, and the family was just fantastic. And I thank you for having it at the Italo. I was there to participate, of course, because I'm head cook and bottle wash.
You're the event manager, but John and Nana, they've been together, of
60
course.
Years. Congratulations, guys!
Mother
from
and
us.
Father of Mark Payson.
She listens
of course,
to us.
Brian, our former Steve here. I heard on these airwaves was their son-in-law for a little while. So,
no.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, not son. Well, yeah.
He married Richard's ex-wife.
Right.
Which made him part of the Payson family because they're wonderful.
Exactly.
They open arms and, it's extended family and things like that. I wish John would adopt me, but that ain't happening anytime
Me too.
soon.
I know that Mrs. Payson used to listen to these airwaves. You listen to Citizen Watch. She was one of our biggest fans. And
she still is.
Hopefully she's still out there listening on Saturday morning.
She told me yesterday.
we encourage everybody.
Tuesday.
You know, our lineup here on Saturday is pretty exciting from 6 a.m. all the way to 10
If you like
a.m.
local things.
If you like local things, that's our local block. And, of course, Robert and I are part of that. And Tea Party Straight Talks comes on after that. But we're still Ebola free here. We've had some scares, but so far we're under the 101.5.
You know what I don't understand?
What? Well, how about that nurse How about the nurse that won't stay home? Well, what's her deal?
Well, you know what?
I mean, would you want to go over and play cards with her, or have a lunch until she's in the clear? I don't get this.
She cute, good looking. I'm a single guy. No,
I don't know. Yeah,
here's the thing I don't understand, and I've told people this. I'm reading a book by Tom Brokaw called "The Greatest Generation," which was World War II.
Right.
And you read stories about people that were having difficulties in the Depression.
Mm-hmm.
They're from all over the map. They tell stories from people from North Dakota, South Dakota, places you never heard of.
Right.
And the wonderful and amazing things that they have done as part of an American team in World War II. And then they go on to tell the stories of how these people succeeded afterwards using their World War II experience.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is they go from night and day. I mean, they start out with the stories about them self-sacrificing things in the Depression,
right.
And then they got all of these opportunities to rise to the top afterwards. And you read that and you go, wow, that's pretty amazing. I forgot where the hell I was going.
Well, we were talking about the lady that had Ebola.
Oh, okay. So what I'm reading in this book, well, the point I'm making is
You'll
that
make the connection, I know.
the connection is World War II,
right.
The 50s, was us.
Mm-hmm.
We're a team. 60s started pushing individuality.
You're right.
They've put it to the point where people, I don't care.
You're right.
I might have Ebola, but it's my right to go to work.
You're exactly right.
And you're like,
a very good point.
And that's the same thing I was going to bring this up. Okay, I have to say this, and it's probably going to get me in trouble.
No, go ahead. It hasn't stopped you before.
I was at a restaurant, and I wanted to just throw a fit.
About what?
3 single mothers come in,
yes,
passing their baby around, pop out an EBT card.
No, to pay for the food.
EBT card to pay for the food. I didn't mind until two of them said, "I'm pregnant again,"
Oh.
and the other one goes, "So am I." And I'm sitting there looking, going, "What's wrong with this?"
Personal responsibilities. Yeah, it's
and
funny.
the problem, and the point is, I had some discussions with, and I'm going to say this, with some of Adam Gray's staffers who are Democrats, and I said to them straight up, and I said, when do we stop people who are on welfare from having more children?
Right.
Oh my God.
Oh.
It was like, oh, you can't? Are you kidding me?
Can't even say that.
And the point of the matter is you can't afford what you have already, and you're having more on my dime. And it brought me and my dad to talk about this. And he said, son, if you came home and you had a girl and you got the girl pregnant, family would come with a plan. He goes, nowadays the plan's already written for you. The girl doesn't have to care because she's going to get $34,000 in benefits before she even goes, Daddy, it's his.
Yeah, it's better off being baby mama drama instead of getting married and being in a relationship.
Or having a child underage and throwing it in a dumpster. Well,
that's another thing. We're going to talk. Might as well lead into that story
that's
now.
Why I did it.
We saw in the paper out of a potential 5 stars.
Isn't that great?
We got 2. Anna Pagan must be so proud. I'm going to give you some new math. We hear about this Common Core, and Dr. Gomes talks about how we should have critical thinking. Let me give you the old school. Now, the old school math, when you got 2 out of 5, that's 40%. That's an F. I don't care what school you go to. If you're getting 2 out of 5 answers right, you're getting an F. Okay, so Anna, you got an F. Now, the new math, we think about critical thinking. How did we get to that F? Well, let's see. We threw a baby in the dumpster. We're running an old beer truck around town trying to sell fruit. I guess that's what gets us to 2 stars is those kind of things. And I just don't understand, again, the failure, what Robert was talking about earlier, the failure of the social welfare system, not only in this country, not only in this state, but for sure in this county, and it's been proven by this article.
Well, here's what else this article proves. It proves that I read a book by Lee Iacocca, the book is entitled "Where Have All Our Leaders Gone?" Mm-hmm. And it talks about Band-Aid mentality. Instead of taking a law and making the law work, we make a law, then somebody looks at the law and goes, you didn't take into consideration this, so they Band-Aid the law.
Right.
The price in the administration doubles, and it doubles, and it doubles. That's what Anna Pagan does. Instead of her taking HSA and stripping it down and saying, okay, you're single mothers that need this, you're this, you're that, you're this, and let's encompass it all. I'll bet you she can save money. But the thing is because she's not judged on the 2 out of 5, on the 40% progress she's made,
yeah,
what she's going to do is she's going to give away more money, more money, more money.
Right.
The more money means the bigger her fiefdom, which means out of 58 states, she gets to sit there and say, look, out of everybody here at 58 states, 58 counties, excuse me, folks, out of my peers, I'm giving 10%. I'm in the top 10%. So what's their pay? How about Anna Pagan? You get paid on the 2%, on the
2 stars
to 5. Yeah. Why don't you go down there and say, you know what? I'm going to give part of my money back. I'm going to give 3/4 back because I'm 3/5 out of whack.
Right. No, I believe Miss Pagan makes over $200 and some odd $1,000 a year. She administers a budget of $250 million in this county. And here we have 2 out of 5 stars, and all we hear is it's not enough. It's not enough.
But did you read that article?
I did.
Did you see who else it slammed?
Well, it slammed the schools, I believe.
Of course. And you're absolutely correct, buddy. What it says is the data also shows that I love Vinny. You're going to love me for this, buddy. The data shows that 56% of high school students in the county are ready for college level math.
56%.
Now let me ask you a question.
Terrible.
What's STEM?
Yeah, well, they don't
Science?
know what they don't
Wait,
know. They don't know what it
I'm
is
leading
here.
you somewhere.
Yeah.
STEM stands for what? You say
science, technology, engineering, and math.
Okay, so if we're 56% on math, okay, and we don't have that many science teachers because they have to give them with partial credential and hope they grow into it.
Well, maybe they can buy their credentials.
True. You can go to Laverne University.
Yeah.
That was what Vinny went to, and I shouldn't say that because he'll probably get mad and say,
well, you can go to Alameda University, and we know they have employees over there.
Here's my point. I was at a school board meeting when they were standing there, and they said, we're against Mr. Gomes and his STEM school idea because we can provide, we here at the high school district are ready and can and are able to provide STEM. And I go, stop a minute. Go STEM, science, you don't have enough school teachers to fill that void, so let's forget about you. So I think the only thing they're selling is T, because the T and E, I don't know about that, but math, if you're only 56 are ready for college math courses, you're telling me, Mr. Scambray, that your school teachers aren't worth a clock, okay, in order to send these kids to a STEM program or fill in for a STEM program when only 56. Now, there is a lady out there that I think she does a math class. I might be all wet here. Annie Delgado, got teacher. She was going in a national program. Didn't make it, but God bless you. I know her personally. I know her mother and father, nice people. Annie Delgado is married to the Mondo family, and God bless you. You did a great job. I will give kudos, and I will give you $100,000 a year pay when you do things like that. But when you sit on your hands and all you're worried about is how many kids that we can get on the welfare program and how many this we can do, and, come on.
All right. Well, it's the old thing, we demand accountability. And when you folks get a 2 out of 5 stars and the school district got 2.5 out of 5 stars, because that's how you get 56% of the people ready to move on to higher education, what happens to the other 44%? Oh, wait a minute. They're sitting out on the streets. They're the ones in jails. They're the ones that are shooting other people in our community because we can't educate these people. We need to have an education system that raises the level of this county, of this city, because we're failing. And we see this in the paper, and where do our leaders stand up? Where do they say this is unacceptable? We're going to change. What accomplishments has Mark Hendrickson made since our last show? That's what I thought. Nothing. What accomplishments has Ms. Pagan made? Again, nothing. And we have the evidence here by these independent evaluators. I just don't know what it takes for people to say enough.
But here's something that I'm going to lead you to for the next segment is this bureaucratic BS, because here's part of it. On the scorecard, it says, the Child Welfare and Economic Well-Being section of the report shows that among children placed in the welfare system, 89% find stability. Okay, explain that. And 85% in Stanislaus and Fresno County. I'm like, wait a minute. So what you're telling me is that 89% of the people in welfare are happy with it because they're stable.
Well, I think they're definitely used to it, and we've got to change things. We're going to talk a little bit about the transient problem here in town after the break, but we are coming up to the start of our first break, and we hope that people will stick with us.
But here's one more thing on the scorecard that really makes me laugh. Anna Pagan, she goes and runs around town telling we need this program, we need that grant, we need this, we need that, we need this. Here was something that was great. It said 70% of children in Merced County are not living in communities of concentrated poverty, 16% below the state average. So if you're not living in a community of concentrated poverty, that must mean that there's opportunities, there's things out there, which I don't understand. And this leads me to the bureaucratic yes is no, no is yes, right is wrong, wrong is right.
Which way is up? Just tell us which way is up, folks. But we're going to try to make sense of it after the break. We encourage you to stick with us. the second segment of Citizen Watch will begin. This is a good song, isn't it, Robert?
My mom had this little bitty spinning record player with this one and DIVORCE, and she started getting into country. That's when I knew my mom was getting old.
Well, you know, I liked Harper Valley PTA. You know who was in the movie, don't you?
Dolly?
Barbara Eden.
Oh.
Remember Barbara Eden?
Dun, 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 dun.
I Dream of Jeannie.
Yep.
I think every young boy dreamed of Barbara Eden after school.
Either her or Ginger.
Mary Ann.
I like Mary Ann better, too.
Mary Ann.
Everybody loved Ginger. Tina Louise. Hi, folks.
Hey, folks. Here we are. Back in the second segment of Citizen Watch here in Studio C.
We just came back from the big parade in San Francisco for the Giants.
Hey.
Every big heavy set guy said, "Hey, John," and it wasn't him.
Well, we know it wasn't our pumpkin, because that is pumpkin pie, or should I say linguiça pie right now. It's pretty good, but
was that or was it yams?
We played Harper Valley PTA because we were going to kind of continue with our school.
Real quick.
Thoughts here. Robert, go ahead.
I took my brother out to Wolfson's. Anybody who's ever gone or wants a nice sandwich or some pork or some meat, oh my God, Wolfson's and Gustine. So Vince and I, we have this place called Johnny's in Chicago that makes this incredible Italian beef, and we go out there, and Wolfson's about as closest as I've ever found to it. And so Vin and I are driving out there, and we come back, and we see this lady. Her name is Mrs. Banta, and she's got a sign out for... I forgot. It just said school district is what I remember. And it looked and it said children first.
Children first.
And I get so angry at these educators and everything that uses kids to sell things.
Kids first. Yeah, you know, it's they always have an apple on their sign.
Hold on a minute.
And kids first.
I got a phone call.
Uh-oh. Who is it?
Hey, Dad, I'm recording my show. Did you get my birthday message? No, I'm not off of that. I'm here. You got a lot bad information, Dad. You're on the radio, Dad, so be careful what you say. Anyways, let me call you back. I love you. Happy birthday, and we'll chat. All right? I got to go. Okay, Dad. Everybody now knows that you were sick. Bye.
That was Robert's father.
My dad called. Well,
Mr. Tomasetti.
We tried to call him, wish him a happy birthday, and he bugged me, and I thought, what the heck? So anyways, this Miss Banta says children first, and what I get angry at is the school system constantly using children to sell things. Mm-hmm. And what I did is I said, okay, let me pull up CTA, because I've always been a proponent of that unions are only interested in them.
In themselves.
And so I pulled it up, and it says ongoing issues. Charter schools, of course, they don't want them. Mm-mm. Collective bargaining, Common Core standards, class size reduction, education reform, educator rights, immigration reform, legislation, and Quality Education Investment Act. I don't see anything in here that says for the kids.
Immigration reform?
Oh, my gosh. I'm like, here is a trade union, which, what it bugs me is because I've been getting all this garbage,
Lord.
between Adam Gray.
The mailers.
The mailers that the educators... Not educators, my mistake, excuse me. The Democrats and the party leaders, their rhetoric. And let me give you one.
Yeah.
One said, "Can you believe that Jack Mobley says that Medicare and Social Security is socialism?" And I'm like, no crud. Of course it is. That's why it's called Social Security. Yeah. Not that it makes it wrong.
No.
But it is a form of socialism.
Well, of course it is.
And what they do is they tack on more to it, which makes it more tilted towards socialism.
Right. I think what Jack was trying to point out is, he'd like to see more private sector involvement. But, one of the interesting ads from Adam Gray, it starts out, it's political BS season. And it goes, do you think any of this would be true?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
If every trade union in the world supported Adam Gray? It's like, well, of course.
No, it says the Sheriff's Union, the Merced City Police Department Union, the such and such coalition, everything. They vote for Adam Gray.
Yeah.
And if they didn't think Adam was doing such a great job, it's like, I'd love to find out how much money they gave to that campaign.
Right. All those PACs, all that independent expenditure money.
And people need to understand this. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna nail it home right here. This is why I'm a Republican. When I feel my hand in my pocket, I only want to feel my own hand.
Right.
If I want to help Casey Steed, it should be my right to help them, not
That's
my
right.
obligation.
That's exactly right.
And that's why I'm a Republican. Democrats feel that big government is here to help you, and they're going to do everything for you. So the Anapagans of the world build fiefdoms so they can line their pockets, because the bigger the fiefdom, the more money they can command for salary, and therefore, but when they get audited and they get looked at, and
2 stars out of 5.
Exactly. Vinny Scambray, 56 stars out of 100. What's your problem?
Yeah, that's another way to put it. Yeah, 50-50. Hey, they're batting 500. I mean, in
Well,
baseball, that would be a
even our roads are
Hendrickson
bad.
would call that a leadoff double or something.
I'm looking at this other article, and it says Merced County roads, 4,954 miles of road, received an overall score of 58 out of 100.
Yeah.
Here's my point.
Another poor grade, folks.
Here's my point.
If you've ever driven some of those back roads.
Exactly.
Unless you're by a
So now let me
an
ask you this
elected
case.
official house, then it might be a little nicer road.
Well, the elected officials all live in a nice section of town.
That's right.
Tony, all of those guys, they live in a great section.
North Merced.
But here's my question to you. Mm-hmm. All right. We roads are 50%.
Right.
Schools are 56%
Right.
in math. Anapagan gets a 2 out of 5.
40%, yeah.
What about the crime rate?
Oh, well, as
I'm
you
going to
know,
make a point here. What about the crime rate? What do you think with the police department? They're effective 50% of the time?
well, I know that the
Murders
unsolved murders in this county
Are outrageous, right?
outrageous. The murder rate,
Okay.
we again hit a
Do they
record
give-
last week.
Do the police departments give traffic tickets anymore when they see you on the cell phones?
I don't-
No shoulder. Trust me, I'm on a cell phone passing police every day. I break the law.
Yeah.
They look at me, I look at them, and I smile, and I just keep going.
Yeah, well, I
know
know
what
that I know that Norm's trying to do more with less. We always hear
I understand that, but here's another problem. Mm-hmm. They still roll through my stop sign.
Yeah, well, your stop sign.
Hold on.
Yes.
Stop signs are $250. If you
Yeah.
give 10 of those away a day, that's $2,500 bottom coffer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think you can buy another police officer with that? The whole point of the matter is here's my point. Mel Levy wrote an article that he said safety, education are the problems in Merced, and everybody went, guffaw, come
Right,
on.
right.
Okay. We saw in reports,
Right.
Anna Pecan's not doing her part.
No.
We got the education, Vinny. I'm sorry, 56% in STEM is not good. 56% not being able to do math at college level is not good.
To move on to college. Yeah,
Okay,
not good. You're not preparing these kids well.
And so the point of the matter is I'm thinking that Mel Levy probably was a better candidate than the guy who can't even vote for himself.
Well, Johnny Teixeira in the congressional race, that'll be an interesting.
But the interesting part about it is
Interesting
he's
race.
right. We need new leadership.
Well,
I mean, I'm reading everything
that goes
I read.
without saying. That goes without saying. We've
But
harped
people
on
don't
that here.
believe that, though.
I don't know what it takes, Robert. Like I say, we've kind of taken a different tact here last couple of months.
Why don't we do a reality TV show? Follow Tony Tomasetti for a month, and we'll see whether Tony's qualified. Follow Darren McDaniel,
Yeah.
John Pedroso. All of the. I mean, really, there's got to be something wrong here, and nobody's paying attention. The minute your HSA gets 2 out of 5, and she has her hand out and gives her buddies away more money and gives school, oh, well, we got a grant. Who cares about the grants? Are you effective?
Right.
Evidently not.
I would say not. I know that I did some work here at a little apartment complex over in the 22nd and R Street area, and this guy comes out and he goes, "You want some bread?" And I said, "No, I'm okay." And he goes, "Man, I get all this free bread." And he brought out literally 10 loaves of this Don Franciscan, stuff I can't buy. That they
$5 a loaf.
Yeah,
you know
that they get handed to them. I know that the ITLO, as you know, when they have extra food, the rescue mission, the folks come and get this food. And yet I'm constantly hit up over at Bank of America and other places downtown by people, "I'm hungry, I don't have any food." And my response to them is, "Look, there's plenty of food. I know for sure there's plenty of food, and it's good food, better food than I buy for myself. There's no reason for you to go hungry in this town." And yet we don't have people that really want to address this problem. There was an interesting article in the paper. Alice Beasley, who lives over there by the county building, she's had it. She's fed up. She's getting no help from the city, from the county, anybody, public
Is
health.
that the lady they're pooping in her lawn?
Defecating in her front yard. Now, if you have a dog and you walk down the street and it poops in your front yard, animal control will write you a ticket. But evidently, we don't have that for humans. She has no help. She's been to code enforcement. They sent her to, here to there, all the way back around the horn to code enforcement. Absolutely no help. So what are our leaders doing about this problem? Because it's not only a public health problem, it's a perception. The gateway to Yosemite, I say the gateway to poverty. We got Brambleville. What's Bramble going to do? Is he going to recycle the grocery bags that the markets have to get rid of at the first of the year and make them human bags? Are we going to have, I don't know, there's no public restrooms. They don't leave the county building open at night, the city hall open at night for these transients to use the restrooms.
So here's the point.
What are they going to do?
Here's the point. Lack of leadership. And I'm going to tell you this. The homeless. Poor job. Poor. Oh. Lock that up. Don't let them go here. Don't let them go there.
Right.
So what did they do? They become a blight on the private sector's commercial properties,
right,
going down 20th Street, the Rabobank building, okay, the building before next to it. Elmer Lorenzi owns those buildings, and he makes sure that those homeless people don't squat and stay on his property, and he shags them and he keeps them, and he's become such a pain in the butt as an owner that people probably just said, hey, forget it. Let's go somewhere else.
Well, and that's what you have to do. Even here at our own beautiful KYOS radio facilities here at 1020 West Main Street on the boulevard here.
I watch the sunset here every night.
Yeah, at the back door, we have a little alcove to get into the station, and there's urine there every morning. I thought it rained this morning. Well, that's not until this afternoon. And people go in there. They hang out at Walmart. They get their beer. They hang over there at that little terrible Hearst gas station. Walgreens. They go to that terrible Hearst gas station over there that sells that rot gut liquor, those little half pints. Why aren't we after that kind of thing? Why aren't we abating that? And I just don't understand why this problem continues. So Ms. Beasley writes this article in the paper where she's had it. She's frustrated. Again, no leadership. And what are we doing for the people? We heard at the city council meeting the week before, a lady gets up and says, I'm hostage in my own home. I can't let my kid go to the store. Well, how do you think the tourists in this town feel? How do you think the people over there at Bob Hart Square that can't find a park bench to sit down now? How's the guy at 510 Bistro or Pinocchio's trying to stay into business when he has the Walking Dead around his business all day long and all night long? Who's going to want to patronize those businesses?
Well, here's the other thing. They're lazy. And I mean this. The leaders in the public and the public workers are lazy. Let me tell you a story real quick. I'm going to Bob Hart Square, and I'm going to my office, and here's one of those gas caps, one of those water. They look like they're like made out of copper. The thing's about the size of a flying saucer.
Right.
Okay. Well, I found it just laying against a tree. So I bring it to my office, and I said, one of the homeless people trying to take a manhole cover, right?
Right,
okay.
right.
So I called the city. Then I called the city because I had hanging tree limb, and I tell the guy, and the guy goes, I'll call you.
Right. You haven't heard
He never
back.
called it, and I own this big old beautiful piece of copper that says Merced Public Works on it.
Isn't it wonderful?
They left it. I guess what they had done was they had changed them because people were stealing them, so made the new ones less stealable, and they accidentally left one in the park. But this thing is made out of like solid brass or copper. I'm sure I'm going to get a pretty penny for it.
Yeah.
But it's a stepping stone in my yard now, and it just shows you how the city people don't care.
Well, they talk about making a day camp. This whole town is a day camp. I don't know what you want to do. If you want to sanction it, well, open a day camp and you're just going to get more of the same.
Hooverville.
You have to take a tough stance. And this defecating in people's yards, there's no response. We have the DART team. The whole area is a disruptive area response. You don't have enough cops to address all of the problems here, but you need to start somewhere. The crime problem is out of control. We have more unsolved murders than we've ever had. We have more murders than we've ever had.
This is what bugs me, though. Like you said, okay, more self-murder, all this stuff. Okay, I watch the police officers blow through my stop sign. I've constantly complained. Put one police officer, he'd make 3 times the income.
Right.
Swear to God. Mm-hmm. But what would happen is people would look. They would see a police officer say, uh-oh. Now they don't care. They go, boom, and the police officer looks at them and waves as they go past.
Well, and
because we're looking for big crime.
Well, but you need to take care of the little things. This is how they cleaned up New York City. This is how they cleaned up Times Square. As you spit on the sidewalk, you got a ticket. Suddenly, nobody was spitting on. That was me. Suddenly, nobody's spitting on the sidewalk.
And one thing leads to another. Once you solve the little problems, then you could throw more resources towards the big problems.
It's called the broken window syndrome. If you have an abandoned house, the first time the window gets broken, nobody cares. If you go and repair that window, just like we have the graffiti abatement team, and they're rolling every day. First thing in the morning to abate the graffiti.
That's one thing I do see that's down.
And that's something the city does. And why they don't take the same response with the homeless, with the transient, with the bums that are out there, I don't understand. And people like Miss Beasley have had it. She has a nice house over there, very close to you.
No, 22 an hour is far from me.
Right, but what I'm saying is, no, that's not the other one. But anyway, it's one of those deals where these people have felt like they're hostage in their home. Let me ask you a question.
These people that want to perform these beautiful Merced, I love Merced, why don't they go to a homeless person and say, follow me?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Come on, let's go over here to the shelter.
Yeah,
Let me go get you something to eat.
Why doesn't John and Renee, have some plastic bags and pick up the excrement from the bums that they so want to embrace in the city? Are back? And they don't want anything, we hear Monica Villa, well, we're just having a picnic. Well, I don't take a poop in the park when I have a picnic, Monica, and I don't go in other people's yards. And this is where you're disingenuous with your rhetoric. quick. You know, folks, we're getting to the end of our second segment. They go quick here. I don't know why they go so quick, but they do. And we ask you to stick with us through the commercials for the third and final segment of Citizen Watch. We have Tea Party Straight Talk at 8 o'clock. Of course, 9 o'clock, we have a special edition of Citizen Watch. 9:30 is Dr. Bob, Real Living Today with Dr. Bob, and we would encourage you to listen to all of the programming on KYOS. If you have any tips or anything you want to tell us, call 209-406-8728. I was told that I give that number out way too fast, so again, it's 406-8728. Again, stick with us. We'll be right back. Robert the Velvet, Sledgehammer Tomasetti, and Casey Steed. Hang on. What?
No, because people don't pay attention. Are we on the phone? Are we on? Here's what people don't pay attention. I got a bill over at the hospital, right?
Yeah.
So the lady goes, "Sir, what is your last name?" I said, "Tomasetti."
Right.
She says, "Okay, Tom, how do you spell that?"
Tom.
So I start laughing. She goes, "What's so funny?" I said, "Well, you asked me my last name. I gave you my last name. Instead, you want to split it up." I said, "If I said Johnson, would you say G John? How do you spell that? S-O-N or S-U-N?"
Yeah.
She didn't find it funny.
Well, I just think it goes to the thing. People don't listen.
They don't listen. They don't pay attention.
People just don't listen. But hopefully you're listening to Citizen Watch here on KYOS.
I thought I was telling you that story.
AM 1480. No, we try to make it a little real here in Studio C.
All right, well, let me tell you one more.
The opulent Studio C. We're here with Robert, the Velvet Sledgehammer Tomasetti. Some people want to call him Machete Tomasetti. I say no.
That was one dude.
I say no. I say the Velvet Sledgehammer.
I got one more for you.
Go ahead.
I'll ask people. They know who they are. I'll ask people for their phone number, and they'll say, or their social security number, and they'll go, 53, 22, 61, 24, 1. And I go, huh? So now I'm going to think that when I call Social Security and they say, "What's your Social Security number?" I'm going to go 532,261,241.
Yeah, well, you know, some people don't even know how to write out a check, you know, where you go $330 and 100 cents.
Just people don't pay attention, and that's why we're here, folks. We're here to help you understand what's going on, because stupid is as stupid does.
We're trying.
Okay, Mark Hendrickson saying that all those numbers, because we had an increase in the manufacturing sector when it had nothing to do with manufacturing, and we showed them that numerically.
Schools and farms, but, you know, that's that Mark's Hard Lemonade that we were drinking last week. It gave me a hangover. I don't know, it didn't taste didn't taste very good. It smelled like bile, but
did he call you?
No, he didn't call me.
I don't think he's going to call either one of us.
I don't think so. But we do encourage other sides to come in, talk to us, differing views and opinions. You can always email us here at KYOSPSA at Radio Merced. Again, you can call us 209-406-8728. I've been told I give that number out way too fast.
Is that 4,320,000?
40,685,000. Anyway, folks, we're broadcasting from the Three Big Sticks out there by Lake Yosemite. They're not going to be standing very long, but we'll be here hopefully after we
Can we take it in for scrap metal?
Well, I'm sure that as soon as those drop, the local transients will be out there.
Why can't we be out there?
Recycling every bit of those towers.
Hey, that reminds me.
What?
I had a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were talking about Bob Hart Square, and you were saying that they closed this and that.
Well, they took the benches out.
Let me ask you a question.
What?
I'm sure if you call AAA cans or AA cans or Gary and a can or one of those companies that provide the toilets, portable toilets.
Yeah, porta potty, sure.
Why can't we have a couple of porta potties tied to a tree for the? No, I'm being serious.
I agree with you.
For the homeless people, what did that cost? $80 a month?
Well, if you remember years ago when they were camped out there by Color Press, Renee successfully lobbied. Renee and John Carlisle successfully lobbied to have a dumpster and porta potties put out there that the city maintained every week. And why they don't do that again? You know, the transients haven't gone away, Bramble.
They've just moved like rats.
Now, they don't, you know, they move around unlike your hair, that every strand is in place.
You like that?
Oh, that hair
doesn't
doesn't
look like
move.
George Jetson.
I mean, that must be the
You remember George Jetson
super
with that?
hold Aquanet. I don't know, but not a hair out of place. But the transients, they move around like the wind. And if people have noticed along Bear Creek, they've started to dig into the bank there,
making caves.
They've started to burrow into the bank. They're underneath every bridge, right next to the signs that say "Do not camp," no camping ordinance. They chain their bikes there. You know, and Robert was talking about what do the cops do besides talk on their cell phone and roll around and waste gas. They need to break suction out of those new Crown Vics or whatever they're doing, the Ford Explorer,
Chevy.
the Dodge Charger. I don't know what they've got over there, but instead of, you know, looking through a windshield and, you know, cracking the wing window just a little bit, why don't you park it?
Wing window?
Why don't you get out?
Those in yours, Case.
I know, I'm dating myself. Why don't you get out and walk the beat? You'd be surprised. Why don't you walk over to Miss Beasley's house and talk to her and say, hey, where are they taking a crap now? Is it here on the side? What time of day is it?
Lead me to my favorite police officer of all time in Merced.
Who would that be?
Bob Luna.
Bob Luna. Yeah, he was the bike officer
Bob
downtown.
Luna was the bicycle officer downtown. I believe he retired, and they put him on to do special duty.
He is retired.
And they let him ride around on a bicycle, and he would go store to store to store, and he'd hang around for 5-10 minutes. There wasn't as much problems downtown because the people knew that Bob would be around any minute, and so were criminals. When criminals are casing your place, they're looking.
Right.
Okay, they're going to tell you.
No, you do. And you get the walking teams out there. You know, they've done this downtown. You do this at special events
Didn't
where you
Rick do
interact
this,
with the
Rick
people.
McMillan?
I'm sorry?
Doesn't Rick McMillan do one where he walks for against violence?
That's the violence, yeah. The take back the night, that kind of thing. And we unfortunately that hasn't worked out as well as it has, or maybe it has. Maybe we'd be up to 60 murders by now if these folks weren't out there walking in Loughborough and some of the crime-ridden sides of town. But the point is that the transient problem that Ms. Beasley writes about is out of control. It's getting worse again. I think we had a handle on it for a while, but then we let it slip. And winter's coming up. I know what the excuse. Well, it's raining now. We can't kick them out. We can't move them on.
There's always an excuse, Case.
Always an excuse. And again, these folks that want this day camp, I think you're misguided.
You know what they should do?
What?
Here's what they do. Mm-hmm. Take 5 of the people they see the most.
Right.
Especially that guy that has that little bicycle thing and he walks his dogs in it, 6 dogs. Hey, tell you what you do. I'll buy you dinner at Pinocchio's, the city should say, if you, as you're walking around town, pick up all the trash you see.
Well, they'll tell you that they're out there recycling. I mean, they're turning in Merced one wire at a time. They're stripping it out as quick as they could find it. It's like this little gas station over here by Manley's Donuts. You can't find.
I started crying.
Can't find a piece of copper.
I went to Sierra. Well, it used to be Sierra Air Gas. It has the tanks. I went to the tanks. I got the air gas. People there are awesome. They got this new girl in there who's funnier than her name is Mary. I forgot.
Okay.
But anyways, she's really nice, and these guys are in there, and they're helping me out. And I said, how do I get around? I got to go to Childs Avenue, and I don't want to. I just cut through here. So I cut through where what they did is had me going towards the old hospital,
right
along the road where.
Yeah.
Okay, so bam, I end up on Childs Avenue,
over by the old MCMC.
I'm driving past the old MCMC.
Yeah.
Mary Kay Powell was her name. There it goes. Old MCMC, and every window on the back side is either boarded up or destroyed.
Sure.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what Merced has come to.
Yeah.
It's all going to be blight because the police are not going to patrol it. Nobody's going to watch it. And everybody's going to sit there and try to be the next Madison Baumgartner by putting a brick through the window from the 3rd floor. And, I to me, it's exactly what we said about, this is what you and I said about the Circuit City building, but they put somebody in there.
Yeah.
Okay, is that what they do is they let these buildings just dilapidate.
Right.
And you've got that old, and Shmuel does a great job with that old Travis Credit Union that is sitting there, big white building that's just asking to be spray painted. Mm-hmm. And Shmuel keeps that thing absolutely pristine, and it's been empty for 14 years.
Yeah.
And you would never know it.
Right. Well,
unless you saw the Collier sign. But I mean, nobody parks there. Mm-hmm. Nobody uses it for potty material. Nobody, writes on it because they want to be, street artists.
No, well, you brought up some business owners that are trying to make a difference, that are trying to keep up on top of this problem. But it takes code enforcement. We have a lot of dilapidated buildings. We have this burnout shell over here across from Rivera that's still there. I know it takes. The house that's over here on the corner of R.
It's not Rivera.
19. What's that school? Is that Weaver? What is that? I don't know. I thought that
John
was
Muir.
Rivera. Is that
John
Muir?
Muir?
Oh, okay.
John Muir, something.
Anyway,
like
that house has been burnt out for 2 years now. We kind of complained. The city put a fence around it, which we were good to see.
Then they boarded it up, and then they put another fence.
Now everybody uses it for their campaign signs and that political.
It's funny. I got a Vern Warnke sign sitting next to a Pat Lunny sign.
Yeah.
How'd you both get approval for that?
Oh, I have a feeling that people just kind of squatted. Let's talk a little bit. It is election time, and this is our last show before the election. And you've heard our rhetoric report. Get out there and vote. Turn in your mail-in ballots, like Robert says. Get off your lazy, what, and show up to the polls on Tuesday, November 4th.
Show you care.
Show you care.
If you don't vote, you do not have a right to complain. One bit.
No, I'm surprised by some of the mailers. I got this one, Adam Gray and Calderon on the front. The teacher,
I love that one.
Yeah, the teacher, the student. It's just so hilarious. But I didn't think they could mail anything that large. I mean, that's you're
like
talking.
Newspaper.
I thought UPS had to deliver something that large.
And then they had Jack Mobley's ones that are just as big.
Yeah, Jack, and I don't know. I can't believe how negative this Mobley campaign has turned, and I'm a little disappointed in the independent expenditures. I know Jack doesn't have any control over that, and I think that's really not who Jack Mobley is. And I think some of that negative rhetoric, while it may play well in some markets, I think they may have overshot here.
No. Because I believe it's both parties who are bad.
Well,
because let's like Adam Gray,
right,
and Tony Dissetti.
Yes.
What did Tony always say?
My record, stand on my record.
Stand on my record.
Stand on my record.
When you watch Adam Gray,
right,
and you report what Adam Gray does,
well, yeah,
you can't get upset.
No.
When you see, now I have a friend of mine who is a restaurant owner,
right,
okay, who went to a restaurant pack
right.
Meeting, and they said, we want all you to write a check for X amount of dollars for this pack, for the restaurant pack, to Adam Gray. And the guy goes, who's Adam Gray?
Yeah.
Who's in your district? Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to send him $2,000. Well, why? Because they were all what?
Right.
Democratically controlled.
Right. Well, and that's why it's funny in these commercials. Do you think it'd be true of what they said about Adam? Because all these police officers,
the one I laughed
they're
at,
all the unions are supporting.
The one I
Adam.
laughed at was the one that I thought was funny is, do you believe Jack Mobley said that Medicare or Medi-Cal is socialism?
Yeah,
yes, it is. It doesn't make it wrong.
No.
I mean, everybody needs to have some social program to help them if you need it.
Right. Well, let's not repeat ourselves too much. But what I wanted to talk about just for a minute before we go out,
Go ahead.
Again, we're running out of time, is what's going on over there in Atwater. Now, you and I
had lunch with Frank
You
Petro
and I have been
yesterday.
the biggest cheerleaders of Frank Petro over there since he's took both hats. And I was a big cheerleader for him when he was I'm glad.
Coming on the show.
He was
Here's what I did.
chief at Atwater, but now he's the city manager over there, so he's wearing two hats. And I know there's a lot to do, but Frank, you don't know who's taking the keys to the police vehicles?
And you know what's funny? He's sitting there having lunch.
Yeah.
I said, Frank, I said, I have some Atwater friends that need some calamari, that would like the calamari lunch. He goes, great. Did you invite him? I go, no, you're going to deliver him in a PAL vehicle. He was like,
yeah, that probably wasn't it. That's probably a little soon, Robert.
But the point of the matter is he's on top of it, and it's chaffed him wrong.
Well,
somebody there is not telling the truth.
This is what I always like to say. Some people wouldn't say crap if they had a mouthful. And I find that some of the players in this little game are interested that, no comment. And I'm specifically talking about Linda Dash and Eric Lee. They're pretty opinionated folks.
Eric?
And then they tell you what's on their mind. And I think everybody knows which way the winds blow with those two folks. But when this PAL van issue came up and Eric's name was tied to it, well, suddenly it's no comment. Well, why don't you say what's on your mind? Why don't you tell us what really happened? Because it kind of gives has a bad smell. It just kind of
bad linguiça.
Just kind of reminds me of the old sewage plant there in Atwater before you guys got that under control. What happened? Somebody opened a cap over there because it smells real bad, Eric. And it'd be nice. And then this thing with Dash's kid. Now I know he has 22, 23 years in the saddle and at 3 points a year. Well, that's only a 66% retirement. So let's call it what it is. He needs a full 30 to get his retirement. But why are you trying to do it on the backs of the Atwater PD?
Because she knows bad money, I guess.
What's this deal about get the Brady list and these shenanigans and we're going to swear him in and now we find out we don't. And again, no comment? Oh, no. These people have comments. And like I say, some people wouldn't say stuff if they had a mouthful, but we do, and I want to know why.
Well, here's the problem. Eric Lee, if you push him in a corner, Eric will sing like a canary. When he was in trouble, we reported Measure H.
Oh, yeah.
And we were talking about Measure H, and they were just going to go look. They were just going to go look and kick tires, and they ended up buying the darn thing.
The fire truck. You're talking about the fire truck, the snorkel truck.
He told you why they needed it and the whole history of Atwater.
Oh, yeah, and why you were wrong.
And why I was wrong.
Well, why are we... What happened with this PAL vehicle?
Oh, I think it sneaks.
I mean, why are you handing out literature for Joan Fall? It's funny when a ship starts to sink. Who's the first one that saves themselves?
Let me ask you a question.
What?
It's the same thing with Chuck Balch. Chuck Balch lives 30 feet from the boundary.
Modesto or Mosquito Abatement District.
Didn't know that he didn't disagree. Okay, but his buddy and his friend who asked him if he could do it. And let's be honest, Chuck Balch was a retired commander of the police department.
Right.
Okay, so he's a well-liked person and he can do the job. And they asked him if he wants to sit on a mosquito abatement. Fine.
Yeah.
Could it be that Eric Lee or somebody's going to get some kind of? How do you get a Measure H? Do you get?
I don't know. I know he sits on the oversight committee, and
who put you on the committee? Joan Fall.
I just don't understand.
You know what it is? Got to follow the bouncing ball.
Right.
You got to connect the dots, and our dots are not connected yet. It looks like a cat, but I guess when we get done with it, it'll be a rabbit.
Well, you brought up the fact that Chief Petro, City Manager Petro, is going to grace us with his present here at Studio C, and I would encourage him.
He thinks he should. I said we got to have him.
I've wanted him.
He said he's got to come on to set the record straight.
I've wanted him on, and please, Chief City Manager, please come in and tell us where we're wrong. Maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but when people clam up. And
but he didn't.
No, not Chief Petro. Chief Petro rolled some heads.
Yeah, he said, "What's going on?"
He got rid of a guy over there that was in the PAL program for a lot of years because he made bad judgment. And I want to believe
and that is what a leader does.
Right.
A leader will take the heat.
Right, and I want to believe that Chief Petro didn't know what was going on over there, and that it was, an oversight
Can I be honest?
somebody stepping out
Can
of
I
line.
be honest?
Yeah, go ahead.
If that guy knew everything that went on in Atwater, geez, he should work for the CIA. Because think about it.
Right.
He's in charge of the police department.
Right.
So he probably delegates.
Well, of course he has to delegate. A good
Okay.
manager does, but the other thing, you fall on the sword when one of your people screw up.
And he did.
Yeah.
And you look at the city, what's going on, and he's falling on that sword too. The man is wearing two huge hats, and I commend him for it. If he disappoints us, I'll be very sorry about it, but I don't think he will.
I will too. You know, folks, that music means we're running to the end. We were going to talk about McCag. You know, the Board of Supervisors are getting sued for all the hot air they're spewing out over there. They're not cutting it back. They can't get rid of 6 employees because they don't want to cost jobs. Let me tell you, government doesn't create jobs, folks. Government spends your tax dollars. Privatize that and we'll be a lot better off. Folks, we got to leave, and I always let Robert have the last word, and he's going to tell us.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are.
Hey,
Happy birthday, Dad.